Ezra Miller, who plays superhero The Flash, has gone completely insane.
I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man. Those are Nerf bullets.
Thank you for letting
me.
They
are fake and they are a toy.
Thank you.
To quote another superhero movie, you either die a hero,
or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
And although Miller might be the hero on the big screen, in real life, they are anything but. From multiple physical altercations and arrests, allegations of kidnapping, to walking around with a gun while wearing a bulletproof vest and being charged with felony burglary. Miller seems to be embodying the abilities of their Flash character and is sprinting towards prison at a superhero-like speed. Yet, somehow, Miller is not behind bars. In fact, they even have a movie with a $200 million budget being released next year. How is this possible? And more importantly, why? Well, Miller is only part of the story. Their actions have had a ripple effect on one of the largest and most successful film studios on the planet. This film studio is Warner Brothers, which currently makes billions of dollars per year. And Warner Brothers has been in trouble. Big trouble, and for some time now. Their arch nemesis Disney has had unprecedented success with the Marvel Universe, and is currently dominating the superhero movie industry. In contrast, many of Warner Brothers' recent superhero movies have been complete box office failures. Their star actors face controversy after controversy after controversy, and all of this results in billions of dollars and the century-old legacy of the Warner Brothers brand being put on the line. And yet, Ezra Miller seems to have dodged any consequences for their actions, and their Flash movie is still on track for release in 2023, despite everything that's happened and all the controversy. Why is that? Is Miller part of something that is literally too big to fail, or is it deeper than that? Well, I think you'll find the answer complicated. This is the story of how an actor ruined a billion-dollar company. To start this story, first we need to take a look at the main character, and that is Ezra Miller. If we rewind to the beginning of their career, it was about as typical as you'd expect. Miller starred in a number of indie movies like After School and We Need to Talk About Kevin, and it looked like they'd have a successful acting career. Sure, Miller did get in trouble with the law in 2011, but it was a relatively minor offense. Miller was a passenger in a vehicle that was pulled over for a broken brake light, and police discovered Miller had a bit of the forbidden grass on their person. Miller was initially charged with drug possession, but this was later dropped by a judge. Instead, Miller was issued with a $600 penalty and 2 citations of disorderly conduct. And examining a recent survey of US moviegoers, it becomes apparent that most people don't care about minor offenses like this. And that was it. Somehow Miller made it from 2011 to almost 10 years later with no serious controversies or other run-ins with the law. Even in 2016, when Miller's acting career skyrocketed as they premiered as Barry Allen and The Flash in the DC Extended Universe, and Credence Barebone in the popular Fantastic Beasts movies. However, it appears that such international fame and recognition may have gone to Miller's head, or maybe taken too much of a toll on his mental health. Because in 2020, everything started going downhill. In February 2020, Miller reportedly took up residence at an Airbnb in Iceland, where Miller was supposedly prone to emotional outbursts and was accused of running an alleged cult. Then, just a few months later, a video circulated of Miller appearing to be choking a woman and throwing her to the ground at a bar. Miller was then escorted from the premises but was not arrested or investigated by authorities. This video went viral, and Ezra faced a lot of backlash online, with many people calling for them to be cancelled, and the Ezra Miller is over party hashtag began trending. The fact he wasn't cancelled for this is still a mystery to me, LMAO. That guy is a freak. Something is seriously wrong with him. How is this dude still employed? But that was it. There were no more controversies. Well, for a little while at least. Ezra's true downfall began at the beginning of 2022. Starting with a bizarre viral tweet on the 28th of January, it became clear that something wasn't quite right with Miller. And then in March 2022, Miller completely lost it. At a bar in Hawaii, Miller was arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and harassment after a physical confrontation with other patrons. 2 days later, the couple Miller was living with at the time filed a restraining order against them, claiming that Miller had threatened them and had also stolen a passport and wallet from them. A few weeks later, Miller was again taken into custody and charged with second-degree assault after allegedly throwing a chair and hitting a woman at a private party, leaving her with a half-inch cut on her face. In June, Miller was accused of several very serious allegations relating to an 18-year-old activist, some of which dated back to when they were just 12 years old. I won't go into detail here as I don't want this video to be age restricted, but you get the picture. And if you're thinking, surely it can't get any worse than this, well, this was just the beginning. Again, in June, Miller was accused of allegedly harassing a 12-year-old child and their mother at their home. They claimed Miller acted inappropriately towards the child, flashed a gun, and was apparently also wearing a bulletproof vest. June seemed to be a very busy month for Miller, as yet more controversy surfaced. This time, claims that a woman and her 3 young children were living at Miller's Vermont farm, and their father was worried it was an extremely unsafe environment for the children to be living in. And then, in August 2022, Miller was charged with the offense of felony burglary into an unoccupied dwelling in Stamford, Vermont. According to a police report, Miller stole several bottles of alcohol from a home. Now, it's hard to say what caused Ezra Miller to go down this path. Were they always like this, and it's simply taken a long time for their true colors to show? Possibly. It may also be Miller's mental health has declined after rising to international stardom and the stress of being involved in huge movie productions, which is not uncommon. Many actors struggle with anxiety, mental health, and often substance abuse due to being in the public eye 24/7 on an international scale. Whatever the true reason, the question that must now be asked is, despite all of these scandals, many of which on their own would be enough for an actor to be cancelled, how is Miller's The Flash movie still going ahead? Well, things are looking pretty bad for Warner Brothers, now known as Warner Brothers Discovery after a merge earlier this year. Not Green Lantern bad, but still pretty bad. The reason? Warner Brothers seems to have been making all the wrong decisions. It's no secret that Warner has been trying to recreate their version of the Marvel Universe for years now, but it's just not going well. The majority of their movies have had a lukewarm reception from fans, like Batman vs Superman and Warner's failed attempt at their version of the Avengers with the Justice League. This poor track record also influenced Warner's decision to cancel a few of their existing projects, such as the Batgirl movie, which has already been completed at a cost of $90 million. And it's not just the movies, it's the actors too. Ezra Miller isn't the only celebrity giving the DC universe a headache. In 2020, Wonder Woman Gal Gadot led a tone-deaf rendition of John Lennon's Imagine, leading to a lot of criticism online. And don't forget about Deadshot Will Smith. We all know what he did 2 years later. But all of this was nothing compared to the dumpster fire that was Amber Heard v Johnny Depp and the subsequent social media backlash and court ruling. But I'll come back to that. The actors of the Marvel Universe, on the other hand, are angels in comparison. Sure, Mark Ruffalo did an oopsie by appearing in the Imagine video, and Brie Larson went down the shady NFT path, but the overwhelming majority of the main Marvel actors are absolutely adored by their audience. Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Zendaya, Tom Holland, just to name a few. So, with all of these issues, scandals, failures, and controversial actors over the last few years, Warner Brothers needed a new direction. So, they decided that Miller's upcoming Flash movie would be the linchpin to the entire future of the DC universe. And it would clean up all the narrative threads left dangling from the previous movies. Furthermore, this movie would likely use time travel and the multiverse to reset the entire DC timeline and put it on a new course, setting up the next decade of the DC universe. There are also reports that major Batman actors Ben Affleck and also Michael Keaton, reprising his beloved Batman role from 1989, would be making appearances, in a move similar to Spider-Man No Way Home. Warner had also conducted test screenings of The Flash and noted that it had been receiving some of the highest scores since Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight movies. It was clear they had a box office hit on their hands, with potentially hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue potential. The DC universe was finally back on track. And then their star actor, who plays the main character in the movie, went insane. Now, if we wind back the clock a few months and look at the Amber Heard situation, Warner Brothers reacted by removing her role from Aquaman 2 entirely. Although this was fairly easy, as Heard's character wasn't exactly key to the storyline and only had 20 minutes of screen time. However, many people would agree that, objectively, Ezra Miller's behavior has been far worse than Heard's. Going back to that same survey of US moviegoers, 85% of whom believed that a movie should be cancelled entirely if the actor in said movie had been accused of grooming children, which Miller has been accused of several times. Plus, we all saw what happened to Johnny Depp at the mere mention of a controversy. He was axed from a billion-dollar franchise almost overnight. So it comes as no surprise that Warner Brothers strongly considered cancelling The Flash, or at least reshooting Ezra Miller's scenes. But it was too late. The entire movie had been shot, editing and special effects all but completed, and $300 million had already been spent. And this movie was the linchpin to relaunching the entire DC extended universe, which would likely span the next several decades, introduce new characters, and bring billions of dollars of revenue for Warner Brothers. So, to attempt to salvage the situation, Miller met with Warner Brothers executives to discuss the future of the movie, and has also admitted to complex mental health issues to try and explain their puzzling behavior. It seems, for now, Miller may likely dodge any kind of punishment for their actions, with the only real consequences being their acting career is almost certainly over. It seems that Warner Brothers is hell-bent on preventing this movie from being cancelled. And it likely goes deeper than what many might think is simply corporate greed. Warner Brothers has thousands of employees, many of whom have worked for years to make The Flash, and whose jobs and livelihoods likely depend on the success of the DC universe as a whole. Not to mention all the other actors appearing in the movie, and the thousands of contractors, stuntmen, and special effects companies involved in a production of this scale. So, to answer the question of this video, did one actor ruin a billion-dollar company? Well, in the long run, it's unlikely. Warner Brothers has a lot of different ventures and is extremely well established. However, in the short term, its entire DC universe worth billions of dollars is hanging by a thread, with their only real chance to rival the Marvel universe depending on one volatile and potentially mentally unstable actor. If Ezra Miller continues his rampage, Warner may not have any other choice other than to cancel the Flash movie, and the consequences of that could be extreme.